hello, and we are live. Welcome to Crossing the Streams. How are you?
Hello, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got an amazing show for you today. Oh, yes, we do. It is a good doozy, as they say. I believe the phrase is doozy. Zach, we got a couple great guests, but before we do anything, we're going to kick it off like we always do. Mike O'Keefe, our guest, is going to sing the theme song.
Do I get a backing track?
You don't know. It's all a cappella, as they say.
Good. I don't need it. Here we go. 2, 3. Here's a story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and buddies. Well, not really. Just between you and me. But what they made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff and Ron and Sal and Bobby. And there's Howard. They call it Crossing the Streams. And how is there more? And then one day, they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platforms. But man, we cross the streams. We cross the streams. We cross the streams.
That's the way
we
do it.
We cross the streams. And now we're all gonna pee into the same toilets. Crossing the streams, baby.
Oh man, that was interesting. So I'm Jeff Watson. I'm your host with my fabulous guests. We're here for Crossing the Streams. Just a bunch of folks talking about shows that they love to watch, and we're going to convince you to watch them as we're doing it. It's very exciting. We got some great guests for you today. I appreciate you all tuning in. Our first guest I want to introduce is Mike O'Keefe. Mike O'Keefe and I have been doing comedy together for many, many, many years. Mike, tell us all about education, and all your other plugs.
Hi, it's great to be here. I've known Jeff since the year of 2010, which blows my mind every time I think about it. I'm a comedian. I've been a comedian for a very long time. During the pandemic, I decided to try and become a teacher. I'm currently getting a master's degree in education right now. I started a podcast about all the different experiences we've all had in school and how I can use those experiences as a teacher and make a better experience for my students. It's called Education Smeducation. We have a lot of fun. We've had some great guests on there. Ben Roy from the show Those Who Can't, which you guys should all stream, has been on the show. Jeff Horst, who is another Detroit comic, was on this week. He's been on Comedy Central. He's been on the show. It's a lot of fun. We'd love to have you. My name is Mike O'Keefe, and I love you.
That's awesome. And can I ask Mike a question, Jeff?
I have time for 3 more questions.
I just want to ask you. You decided to become a teacher when teachers were at home doing nothing. That's when you decided. That's a smart move, dude. That is a very, very smart move.
I thought they're union protected. They're working from home. This is a great. I'm getting it on the ground floor.
Man, good for you. Good career choice, man.
Mike has always been on the cusp. Just a few years ago, he was doing MySpace templates, and he missed that curve by just a minute. And then we have another special guy, a newer friend of mine, Zack Wiseman. Zach has some nobodies, but he also has a million other podcasts. Tell the world about yourself, Zach.
Yeah. So I started with my writing partner, Dylan. We started a company called Some Nobodies Media. We have roughly 12 to 19 podcasts. We have about 3 TV shows. We have a show on Twitch also. I try to tell Dylan to get me to start a show every single day because I have way too many ideas. But I'm starting a new one called the Netflix Metrix, in which I try to watch the US top 10 on Netflix every single day and try to review it. It changes every day. It blows my mind. But yeah, we do shows like Talking Upstream every Sunday. We do a Twitching Upstream version, which is live on Twitch every Tuesday. We do shows called The Podcast, the podcast show, which is where we find 7 terrible podcasts and review them. We have a show called Silicon Angels, which is probably my favorite show. And that's found footage of the IT phone conversations of a sex robot shop. and it's obviously a fictionalized version of reality. But yeah, we do a whole bunch of stuff. We are currently filming a movie right now. We're in production of our first horror movie called Give Me Back. My star meter is higher on IMDb than Jeff Dwoskin, and I have known him since 2020, which is one of the worst years ever, but I met that guy. So yeah, I do too much, and that's me, Zach.
Good for you, man.
Zach is a brilliant mind. We got some comments. That's me. Oh, this is Amy Owens. Hey, Amy. We used to work together. Hi, Amy.
Nice.
Hey, Amy.
Tina Marie says hello, everybody.
Hello, Tina.
Kate, Maria finds our song. First of all, our theme song is amazing, Maria. So Mick Manhattan, who was our guest last week, thinks we're all quite gorgeous. Can't disagree with the truth. That's pretty cool. Let's see what else we got. I think that's good. That's good. I'm trying to look. So a couple of things. I've been on Zach's podcast. It's a lot of fun. So look it up. Mike, if you need somebody on your podcast, I got some great stories. My first roommate in college shot his girlfriend and killed himself. I'm happy to come and tell that story on your podcast.
Wow.
It's not fun. I mean, it's not funny. I mean, people were shot and died.
No,
But
that's not funny at all, Jeff.
but it happened. It did happen. And anything to get on a podcast.
And scene. What else are we talking about today?
It happened. It's like, well, for those of you who are just tuning in, we had a great show last week, episode 12. If you want to check that out, it's on YouTube, the Jeff Dwoskin Show channel. It's also on Facebook, facebook.com/Jeff is funny. We talked about Suits, which actually did not get a good review, even though Mick Manhattan, for some reason, watched the entire series twice. We talked about The Sinner season 1, which got a great review. Bob captivated us with Last Breath, which was excellent. Wise talked about Quantum Leap, which I'm sure everyone's checked out. And Ron Lippett went to YouTube to get the most popular girls in school, which I haven't checked out yet, but I do plan on checking that out. It seemed quite intriguing. It's all Muppets and stuff. And then
where is Mr. Lippett tonight? Can I ask? Where is Lippett?
He had to I don't know, Bob.
Genius of Jeff Dwoskin. He
just thought you might have another uplifting
Bob,
story.
I was right in the middle of my flow here, so I can tell everyone what the show's about.
All right.
Today we're going to talk about When We Were Kings, The Crew, which is surprisingly hilarious, and Southland, The Sinner season 2, and Zach, our resident expert on WandaVision, is going to talk us through WandaVision. So that was cool. So Ron, I believe, is smoking meat.
Oh, all right. Good for him.
He barbecues food.
Okay.
And so that's
beautiful day for it. Beautiful day here.
Finally,
Michigan.
Amy wants to hear the opening again. Oh, hey, here's Ron. Ron's watching for live from home. So Ron, tell us,
Ronnie.
It is an upbeat show, Amy. It was called pitching. I was pitching to get on the podcast. If it makes anyone feel good, the girl lived, only the guy died in my story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
well,
so only half the people died. It was my roommate, and I did not get, well, I don't want to say whether I got all A's. Save it for the podcast. All right, well, we got Zach is joining us. He's going to actually debut with the Metrix. And we're really excited.
It's right there, and you read it wrong.
Isn't it right? Netflix Metro. What did I say?
Netflix.
You said the Metrix. Netflix is an allergy medication. That's nothing. It's
Metrix and chill.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the Netflix Metrix. Listen, it wasn't me. No. It was Bob all along.
All right, I've had enough of that.
Zach, tell us about the top 10 on Netflix.
Yeah, so I wanted to do a show because the Netflix top 10 in the U.S. is a very new thing to the U.S. It is something they tried in the U.K. and it's something they also had in Canada for a while. It showed up on the United States Netflix about a month and a half ago, and for some reason I've been paying way too much attention to it, and I've been looking at this thing every single day until I started doing a lot of research on what this is. And it turns out of the 204 million people that have Netflix, 73.94 of them live in the United States. And the metrics on Netflix is whatever is the most popular thing that was watched yesterday shows up on the US top 10 of today. For some reason, there are things like iCarly. I don't know who's watching this show. I've done a lot of field work. I've gone to 6 different stores in my neighborhood and asked random people if they're watching iCarly. And it has been on the top 10 for 23 consecutive days now, which is insane. There are things that I can't tell if Netflix is trying to push certain things or if people are actually watching this. But I have similar to like a Wall Street ticker that tells me when these things get updated, how long they've been on here. So for instance, number 1 right now is Ginny and Georgia, which is a full 10 episode season of a show about, a single mother trying to live in this new area. It is not good at all. I don't know who's watching this. I guess people, they're just putting this on. Number 2 is the Bigfoot Family, which is an animated sequel to something called like Bigfoot's My Dad, which is a very terrible cartoon about Bigfoot being a pop superstar who is trying to use his popularity for good, and his son is having a hard time being the son of Bigfoot because kids in school want his autograph for some reason. There is once again, number 5 is iCarly, and that's been hanging on there for 23 days. So somebody is continuously watching iCarly every single day. The only thing that I found good on here, that's not true. Okay, maybe one person, 74 million people to make this number, to make this show get into the top 10 of 74 million people. It has to be more than just Jason's kid. But there's 2 good things that I saw in here. One is the number 8 slot today is called I Care a Lot, which is one of the most horrific things I've seen. It's about someone who is in control of an old person's home and how they take advantage of all that. They take their property, they take all their stuff. It is a terrifying movie. And there's also a new show called Age of Samurai, The Battle of Japan. And that is a 6-episode season 1, which there's a whole new wave of kung fu shows showing up, which is great. I'm a big fan of this thing. Dude, I hate iCarly. I hate this show so much. This show has no redeeming quality whatsoever. It is 2 Nickelodeon stars that got their own show that is about the internet. It doesn't make, like, the technology doesn't make sense now. I don't understand. This show is from 2008. Nothing about this makes any sense at all. Exactly. It's a ripoff of like 6 different things, and it just stars 2 people that are kind of famous from other things, most likely starring Zach and Cody. And I have an issue with Netflix. I have been sending them nonstop emails wondering how they picked this and if I can get this job. It is the most boring things. It just seems like maybe step parents are putting on just random things on Netflix so their kids just sit still and watch something with color. There's Coco Melon has been on the top 10 of Netflix for 136 days, and that is over like the course of the United States, the UK, and Canada. I even checked the numbers just to make sure. 136 days is this garbage show about a kid that just needs a diaper change. I don't understand. But currently, the number 10 spot is Step Up 4. And I will say that was entertaining to watch. There is some pretty solid moves. Coming in as a quad sequel, it is probably the best number 4 of any franchise that I've seen. Step Up 3 I thought was amazing. The 3D technology, including Moose's moves and the cameo of Twitch, was awesome. But having the 4th installment just really actually, I don't like this movie at all. It's just a dance movie, whatever. I'm just joking.
All right, listen, can I ask Zach a question? I want to give him my synopsis of what I think this is. I think, great job, by the way. It's awesome. I think it's great that you're looking into this. I think the baby stuff that you talked about, I think is happening. But I think Netflix, I was in the beer business. When we wanted beer to sell, we would put a sticker on it. Even if we didn't change the price, we would put special $1.99. And for some reason, that beer sold when you did that. I think Netflix is saying, hey, let's put this show in the top 10 for a day and let's get some bites. You know, maybe that producer that produced it is saying, come on, man, give me a top 10 day, man. Come on, just give me one.
I think so.
I
think you're right. This is the equivalent of the manager section of the wall at Blockbuster Video.
Okay, so
and I wish Howard Rosen was here because I think he used to work there.
Well, I did used to work at Blockbuster,
Okay.
and I love that wall. That wall was amazing, and what that did was that was me educating people to cool things they should be watching. Now, if there were things on here that were worthwhile, sure, but of the top 10, only 5 of them are brand new shows or series. There are things from 2008. There are things from 2012. I don't think iCarly needs that kind of push where somebody's going, I'm going to put this on my favorite wall just to make sure that people are still thinking about it.
Well, to defend iCarly for a minute, one, it's a very clever show. I mean, but two, the reason it's getting so much buzz, but seriously though, it's one of those shows where the parents are gone, right? They're dead or something. I don't think they ever explain why the brother is raising them. Mm-hmm. And I will say that Jeanette McCurdy, who plays Sam, the snarky best friend, has come out that she's very not proud of that role and hates all of her acting, and that's why she quit. Anyway, I did want to say the reason it's so one last thought is, or one last thing, what I was trying to say is it's getting a reboot. That's why it's getting so much attention right now.
Oh, okay.
Or they're coming back. They're doing the the thing where they get the cast to come back and do a show. So that's
Zach, how old of a gentleman are you?
I'm 42.
There's absolutely no reason you should like iCarly. Shut up about it. You're a grown man.
Listen, I'm a grown man who pays
for you.
I pay for Netflix. This thing, there are algorithms. If I say at all. Listen, if I say the word cat litter, I get 9 advertisements on every single streaming service and my phone and my Google and my Alexa. My Netflix should be geared to me. Why does it have things like Coco Melon and iCarly on here? I don't need this. It is nowhere near in the top 10. I don't want that. There should be different brackets for this, and I don't need to know that more people are watching iCarly than anything actually good only because the remake is coming soon. Nobody cares about that, Jeff.
Rob Wolf says the dad on iCarly's in the military. He knows everything, Rob.
Why do you hate America, Zach? Why do you hate America?
Well, when America is trying to force feed me things like iCarly, which is a show that is based on a girl that gets a little bit of popularity based on the internet that holds no relevance to 2021, especially right now. Like, I don't hate America. I hate Netflix, and I got a problem with it, and they're going to hear me, and 12 other people will, because no one listens to my shows.
So two things. I do want to point. Amy has pointed out middle school, high school logic that by you making fun of iCarly is that you secretly love it. You secretly love it. Right. And no. I do want to point out the irony that Jerry has pointed out that this show has now become the coolest iCarly podcast.
Yeah. You did it. You're at top, baby.
All right. Well, maybe it's in the top 10 for some reason. Now I get to talk about it, so that's great.
Well, how long are you going to do this? How many days do you want to do this experiment? Are you going to do it more days?
I'm not sure. Like I said earlier, I've done it for 5 days now just to see if I have any kind of lasting ability. I'm going to definitely do it through the whole month of March just to make sure that I can hold this and keep this going. It is every day, but luckily because of garbage like iCarly, I don't have to watch 10 things every single day. I've already seen Coco Melon 10 times, so I don't need to watch that anymore. And as long as iCarly stays on here, then I don't have a whole lot of things to do.
Well, as much as
watching iCarly is like you going to a baby on the street and being like, "Give me that pacifier. This pacifier sucks." It's the same thing.
Well, hey, point out that baby. Point out that baby to me, and I will show that baby a better pacifier.
Okay, we do have to move on. But the first, I'd say the debut of Metrix was a huge success.
I think I should change the name. I probably need to change the name.
And I think the makers of iCarly, thank you. And I do want to remind everyone that the original Step Up did star Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan, who later became Channing Tatum's.
Wow.
And let's move on. I'm finding it hard to talk today. All right, we're going to move on. Sal's going to take us through The Crew, which is a new comedy starring Kevin James on Netflix.
Yes. Well, when I originally saw this title, I thought it was going to be a documentary about the umpiring crew that blew the Armando Galarraga perfect game in June of 2009. If you guys can remember that.
I do remember. It still hurts.
Anyway, no, The Crew is a Netflix series, 10 episodes. It stars Kevin James. And first of all, I just want to say before I get into this, I love Kevin James. I think he's just an amazing sitcom actor. He's a great stand-up. And so I wanted to watch it when I heard he was in it. But anyway, he plays an ex-NASCAR driver, and he works for now he runs the Bobby Spencer racing team, and it's basically got a lot of characters involved with a racing team, and it takes place as a racing team, like their headquarters, and then they have races every week and stuff, but you don't see any of the races. Obviously it's a sitcom. Great cast characters. One of the guys I wanted to point out, Dan Adut, he's also on Cobra Kai. So he's on obviously a hit series, but he does a nice job in it, and it's just a very well written. You can tell it's kind of written by stand-ups. I think Pete Coriel is one of the writers on it, and it's 10 episodes. I think I read somewhere that it's getting renewed again for a second season. It's just it's really good. It's got that I don't know what it is. Kevin James, he was good with what's her Leah Remini. I always forget her name. It sounds like a pasta. That's why I always get it wrong. But,
you think that's why you'd always get it right.
Sal.
But he plays alongside of Sarah Stiles in this, and she does a great job. And there's like a little bit of chemistry between them, but they both kind of date other people in the first few episodes and stuff. But you kind of see that there might be a spark there, but they're kind of not really in that. But you can kind of see it maybe in the future. That's me. The race car drivers in it are funny, and it's just a very, very funny sitcom that's worth watching, man. I give it 5 tomato sauce jars, man. It's awesome.
Oh, that's a hell of a review.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's really good. I
think that's one of the most. I think that's one of the most you've ever given.
It is. It's got it's the typical sitcom. I'm sorry, I wanted to say that. It's the typical sitcom from like the 90s that we all loved, with probably a laugh track. I don't think it's a live audience, but it's just very well written, a lot of jokes, and it's not that reality feel that you see today on a lot of stuff. It's just the old regular sitcom, man. It's awesome.
Jerry is body shaming Kevin James. Hi, Lisa.
Jerry.
Now, if I may, as I started doing this Netflix Metrix thing, Jeff, you got me messed up. This show was in the top 10 for 3 days, so I did watch.
Because of me, it's probably because of me.
Yeah, you and my dad, maybe.
Wednesdays.
I put this show on and I watched the first episode, and I'm like, there is another 10-year-old show on the top 10 of Netflix, and I got angry, and I realized that this is a brand new show. The show is weird because it's not really new. It is kind of funny, but there's nothing really clever or new about it, but I did find it very entertaining, and I will say it is better than iCarly. Any day.
All right.
Yeah. Ron Libet is a thing for Leah Remini. I gotta say, I watched the first 5 episodes, and I normally wouldn't have. And I agree that there's nothing memorable about it, but I do say that I can't remember laughing this much at a sitcom in a long time, and it made me realize I probably need to go watch The King of Queens, which I've never watched, because
Yeah.
Kevin James
man.
is seriously
Great. Yeah.
hilarious.
Severely underrated.
Yes.
He takes a lot of shit, and he's a very talented stand-up and comedic actor. He's one of my favorites.
Correct.
Yeah,
His
I
timing's
remember-
spot on.
he delivers lines like nobody's business. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. No, you're fine. I remember Sweat the Small Stuff came out when I was a really young kid, and I would look up in TV Guide. You guys remember TV Guide? When Comedy Central would replay Sweat the Small Stuff so I could watch it again. That stand-up special is amazing, and I love King of Queens. And Kevin James acting on a sitcom is money in the bank every single time, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, so
I agree, man.
Amy loves King of Queens, but I something very important I need to announce. I don't mean to cut the show off, but like Casey Plot is thoroughly convinced. You've thoroughly convinced Casey Plot
Thank
to
you,
watch
Casey.
The Crew.
Thank you,
So,
Casey. Jeff gave me a time limit, so thank you, Casey. I appreciate it.
well,
It's just like make me laugh. It's like make me want to watch your show. I have to do it in 60 seconds,
Lisa loves Kevin James in Grown Ups. Grown Ups.
Yes.
Lisa and I went to EMU together. Lisa, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, I told a story about me at EMU. It's not a happy story.
Got an EMU grad here, right here as well. You have another EMU grad.
Oh, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Oh, you didn't think so, huh, Jeff? You didn't think I had the smarts to have a degree, huh?
No, I know. Did my face give it away?
Yeah, it did. You were like, wow, you went to EMU.
It's like, whoa,
my DePaul University Tumblr.
all right.
It says here we do, but it should say here will do. Anyway,
Right.
it's for my stand-up.
Speaking of Mike O'Keefe, you loved him in Education and Schmeducation, and you'll love him talking about Southland. Tell us all about Southland.
All right, so Southland is I would call it the West Coast Wire. It is a show about patrol cops in LA. Each episode takes place over about a day, and they really dive into a lot of issues that a lot of other cop shows don't dive into. It starts off with a probationary officer going out with a more veteran officer, and it shows how this probationary officer, who's very gung-ho and very hoorah, goes one way, and then the veteran officer goes another way. And it really sheds a light on a lot of the different philosophies and a lot of the different mind frames that go in to cops on the street. It doesn't glorify, it doesn't vilify anything. I think it's a very nice, brutal, honest look at kind of what goes into cops on the street. And I loved it. I whipped through it when around the time I booked this, which would have been like 2 months ago. So I'm kind of blanking on some of the details, but I loved it. It's a great show. I think it ran for about 5 seasons. They're all on HBO Max, and it's great. And the way the characters evolve throughout the 5 seasons is really interesting. It's not Sound of Troy, it's called Southland.
Oh, it's
Los Angeles, California.
me and my typos.
And it's great, and it's a great cast. Ben McKenzie, who was the hot kid from the OC, he plays the young officer, and then Regina King's in it, and then one of the guy who plays the veteran officer, who his arc is very fascinating. I won't spoil anything, but he goes through a ton of ups and downs and kind of personal revelations and personal demons. He was in Band of Brothers.
Michael Cudlitz.
Yeah, Cudlitz. Yeah, he was one of the dudes in Band of Brothers. And Regina King's in it, and she's amazing. She plays this detective that's very hard-nosed. And C. Thomas Howell makes a comeback. The Soul Man himself is back on screen. And,
I like how you dropped the one credit he wouldn't want you to mention.
I'm not talking outsiders here. But it's a great show, and I really do highly recommend it. And after that, one of the guys who plays the detective, who eventually goes back to being a field officer, was in a show called Animal Kingdom that's still running on TBS, which is adapted from an Australian movie. And that movie's great, and that show is great. So here's the two for Southland and Animal Kingdom. Go for it.
Here's an important question from Amy. How does it compare to Westland?
This Southland does not have a bowling alley or the token lounge. So I gotta give it to Westland, but only by an inch, only by a little bit.
When I first saw it, I thought you wrote Rest World. Wait, this just in.
Westland has a mall too.
This just in. Hold your horses. Mike O'Keefe, very first time on the show. Convinced.
I got one.
Casey Plot has been convinced.
All right, Casey, good call.
And Ron Lippert is trying.
Regina
Had me at
fan.
C. Thomas Howell, the best
She is
non-white
easy on the
ever.
eyes. We like Regina.
Ron's trying to pull his own Casey Plot. We got the real Casey Plot, Ron Lippert. All right, so that was good.
It is, it's a great show, and I do highly recommend it. And if you like The Wire, if you like The Shield, I think you're gonna love Southland, and it's all on HBO Max. And while we're here, Those Who Can't is my buddy's show. That's on HBO Max. Watch all of that too. It'll take you an afternoon. It's super funny.
Yeah,
Cool.
we need to talk about. We could have an entire Regina King episode. You got to watch Watchmen. If you haven't watched Watchmen,
That's
incredible.
great. Yeah.
It's
Really
so
great
good.
show.
So good. So good.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. You guys ready? Bob, you ready,
What are we
man?
doing? Oh, is it me? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Bob's going to cover When We Were Kings by
This
Muhammad.
looks awesome.
What a great movie! What a classic
This
sport.
is a documentary from 1996. I'm going to the Wayback Machine here, and I love this documentary because it's all about the 1974 fight between Muhammad and George Foreman. Now, Sal knows. I don't know if the rest of you guys know, but I used to be a fighter back in the 80s, and I had absolutely nothing in common with either of those guys. In fact, my manager's advice in most fights was stay down.
Wasn't your record 0-0-6 or something like that? You had 6 ties. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, 6 draws. That would be the first time in history. No, I was actually 8-2, but I was being self-deprecating.
I know. You're a good player, dude.
Anyway, so I love the fight game, and I reached back to watch this because it was such a different time, 1974, obviously. I mean, I was just a little kid then, but I remember being fascinated by this, and there was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, one of them was that Muhammad was seeking to regain the title that he had been stripped of back several years before for refusing to go to Vietnam. And so he was, vilified for that. And a lot of people, made him a hero because of that. I always admired him for that. And back then, George Foreman was not this genial huggy bear that he is today. George Foreman was the Tyson of his day. He was mean and crude and fearsome. I mean, he had whacked out everybody they put in front of him. And nobody gave Ali a shot at this. And I want to say, I think Foreman was a 3-1 favorite, maybe 4-1, which is huge in boxing. That means, just go down and stay down. But it was all against this backdrop. It was happening in Zaire, and this is when Don King really made his bones and figured out how to squeeze millions out of being a promoter. And it was, and Howard Cosell was down there, and you had marching bands going into Zaire. And then Foreman, I think, what happened? He got a cut on his, over his eye during training. So they had to postpone the fight. And he wanted to go home because he was not digging it. Muhammad was holding court and was a hero in Zaire, Boombaye, everybody remembers that. And so it was, it was going to blow up at any time, but the fight went on. It went on, and it was one of the most iconic fights in history. Where this is where the rope-a-dope strategy came in. Yeah. And but before I get to that, I want to say one of the reasons that I loved Ali so much, and it comes out in this documentary, is that he was so funny. He was so genial, and he loved everybody, and he stuck up for his his training crew and his gym mates and everything, and he just was a good guy. And there's a scene that is so funny to me between him and Howard Cosell, where they had this little act worked out.
Yeah.
But it looked like it was happening, unrehearsed. And Howard said, I don't do a good Howard Cosell, but I'll try. Muhammad, the people are saying you're not the fighter you used to be. And Muhammad, he does that face. Howard, I talked to your wife, and she said, you're not the man you used to be. I mean, it was this beautiful, this is a press conference. Nobody ever did that. He was so funny and so human. Anyway, so the results of the fight were this. And a spoiler alert, if anybody wants to watch this, I'm going to tell you how this turns out. Nobody gave Ali a chance. But he developed a rope-a-dope, and he spent most of the fight with his back to the ropes, leaning and taking all of Foreman's punches, with his peekaboo style. Most of the punches landed on his arms. He took a lot to the ribs. He took some to the head, but Foreman could not put him away. And then in the 8th round, just literally out of nowhere, Ali comes off the ropes, pop, 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 bam. And Foreman does that now, famous stumble and trip and falling across the ring and bam, down.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
And the place went nuts. The boxing world went nuts. And it's something I've never forgotten. And I've never forgotten the showmanship of it and all of the politics that went with that. And just how fun it was to watch that again. So I highly recommend it for any boxing fan. And if you're just a history fan, check it out.
Yeah.
I had to watch that. I didn't have to. I got to watch that documentary as a student at Michigan State, as a film student. It's one of the best sports docs. It's one of the best fly on the wall documentaries.
Yeah,
it is.
Really
It is just a fantastic film. Bob, have you seen One Night in Miami yet?
No, I haven't seen that yet. That's on my list. Yeah,
it's good. It's really good. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, When We Were Kings won the Oscar for Best Documentary in '96.
Oh, wow, nice.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're good. We're interrupting each other. That's podcasting, baby.
Baby. Bob Phillips, that was amazing.
Very well done, Bobby.
Yeah.
All right.
Great job. Wait, let's go to the comments. Let's go and see. Amy Owens. Amy Owens is our new super fan. This is so exciting. Between Amy and Jerry. Jerry wasn't born yet for this movie. iCarly wasn't born yet for this movie. Zero.
Also, the woman who plays iCarly is in School of Rock, and she's fantastic.
She is great in School of Rock. She's just a little
fantastic.
And Ron Libet says it's hard to be humble when you're as great as I am. That's it. His favorite Ali quote. And then the moment that everyone's waiting for. The world is tuned in to find out. And the answer is yes. Casey Plot is reconvinced of watching When We Were Kings. I'm convinced. I need to check it out too.
Reconvinced. I'm
reconvinced. Reconvinced is one of the highest Casey compliments, because that means he watched it and he's willing to rewatch it like Mick Manhattan rewatched Suits. Okay. So that's really good.
I'll never be able to understand that. Never.
Nothing to understand there. Man. So I just got, there's a note that says we have just, because of this show, iCarly is now #1 on Netflix.
Oh. All right.
I gotta watch it again tomorrow.
You got to wonder why.
Hopefully, we're on for 5 straight days.
Yeah, you got to wonder why iCarly is #1. It couldn't be. It was Bob. People are asking for that to be a ringtone. So we're gonna make that. We'll make that available for the super fans.
And if you're a big fan of sports docs, which I am, I'm a big sports guy. I love documentaries. If you can put your American insecurities away and watch a documentary about soccer, Maradona on HBO Max is fantastic too. It's kind of the same. It's really good.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. And boy, oh boy, if you like cocaine, that's the movie for you, baby.
You know what, Maradona? People don't realize what an icon he was the world over. Man. People in the United States just were getting hip to soccer when he, was phasing out. That man was known and beloved by 6 billion people, and we're like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, him and Pele were like the LeBron and Jordan of their day. Yeah. And they had a rivalry about who was better until Maradona died, like this year. They always fought about it. Yeah.
I don't know basketball very well. Does Jordan and LeBron have a rivalry?
No. I'm saying it was the soccer equivalent of LeBron and Jordan. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't know.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you love soccer, Ted Lasso. Nothing better. Okay.
Good show.
Good show.
The best.
So, all right, I am talking about The Sinner season 2. These are all standalone limited series events, which is why I'm covering it separately. Take a look at this child, because this is the eyes of a murderer. Anyway,
disturbing.
So I watched. This is a little ironic, and I am not making this part up. My wife and I were sitting around, and we're like, "What should we watch?" Because we've been watching. We chill together and we watch the movies and stuff like that. And so I go onto Netflix, and I said to my wife, Robin, have you heard of The Sinner? It's trending top 10 on Netflix. And I wish that was even being. I wish I was making fun of Zach right now. That's the absolute God-honest truth of why I started watching The Sinner. It was trending because I think season 3 had just come out, and so I saw it and I started watching it. And again, just to recap, I talked about season 1 last time, and it's 8 episodes. And each season is its own complete story. The one thing that goes through all of the seasons is Bill Pullman. He plays Detective Harry Ambrose, and Detective Harry Ambrose is in every season. So, the one thing that I talked about with season 1, it was kind of like the real thing that kind of hooked you was the death scene, the murder scene in the beginning was insanely amazing. I mean, as far as death scenes go. And season 2 did not disappoint. Season 2 death scene, the boy that I just showed in the other thing, he kills his let's say parents. I don't want to give anything away. And so he kills his parents. So he poisons them. And the death scene is ridiculous, just ridiculous. And so you gotta check it out. And so the thing is, Bill Pullman goes to this town, and it's like the town he grew up in, and he had left. And so one of the threads of the show is that Bill Pullman's battling his own demons, and that's how it relates to how he relates to the characters. I will say, as I watch Bill Pullman in this, Bill Pullman is a very unique actor. He has a very distinct way of acting, and I find him fascinating to watch. He's just really good, and like you watch him, and you're like, you don't get that vibe from other people. He's got this real distinct way he plays these characters. And previously, my favorite was when as president in Independence Day, of course, giving the greatest speech of all time on Independence Day. There's no better speech in presidential history, real or fake, than Bill Pullman getting the troops together and revving everyone up to defeat the aliens in Independence Day. I think the only other TV movie president to come close, and it's only a one-liner, is Harrison Ford when he says, "Get off my plane." That almost as powerful. Anyway, so this boy kills his parents. And just like Sinner 1, season 1, what appears to be a pretty much open and shut case is not, and things start to unfold, and that's the beauty of the 8 seasons. I think it's also the beauty of networks not being forced into 24 episodes or 30 episodes like they used to, where they had to stretch a story out. Like this same story probably over an old normal TV season would have been just painful. But when you can condense it into 8 hours, this one felt a little longer than the first season, but it was still, I thought, really good. So there's all these things that start happening in the town. Turns out there's this whole cult in the town and all these like secrets. And it's like one of those where everyone's hiding something. And it's got a great support cast as well. And Carrie Coon is Vera. She runs the cult called Mosswood. And anyway, it just kind of plays out. And Elijah Hennig, I believe his name is, Julian, the boy who I showed is a murderer. He does a great job. And as it kind of plays out, what I love about The Sinner of season 1 and season 2, it doesn't have the happy ending. It has the right ending for what you've just watched. It doesn't, there's no pretty bows or anything like that. In season 1, Jessica Biel still went to jail. She still had to pay for her crime. In this one, he still has to pay. But it kind of unlayers that the premise of it was when a child kills, there's more to it than just a child killing, and that there's nurture and upbringing that plays into something like that. And so it's a real fascinating. I'm interested in season 3. Though Jerry warns me of season 3 as a total wash, even though Rotten Tomatoes gives it an 85% tomato score versus 97 and 90 for season 1 and 2. So 85 is not the worst, but nobody can.
Thanks for that review. I'm never going to watch it. All right, cool.
Well, is there a new Sinner every season?
It's a completely new show. It's like a whole new case. It's like True Detective, except True Detective is a full new cast. Bill Pullman's character carries through. Okay. So like
Columbo.
Like Columbo. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I noticed. Now, I noticed that kid had blood all over his hands. Why did the kid have blood on his hand?
Before I
Bob, I ask you, what is the difference?
Anyway, Casey Plot is convinced, based on having seen the death scene in season 1 and my discussion of it for season 2. So that's The Sinner season 2. So for the last 10 minutes or so that we got, Zach happens to be extremely passionate about WandaVision. And so we've talked about WandaVision a couple times actually on the show, but we got the last episode is coming up. And so there's a lot to catch up on. I find it to be the most brilliant show and most brilliant thing actually that I think the MCU has done. So Zach, give us, what do you think is going to happen in the finale? Where are we headed?
In the finale, so I think that I have a couple ideas of things that it's going to happen. Obviously, you're going to get a Vision v Vision battle. You have Scarlet Vision versus White Vision. White Vision in the comics, there was a comic run called Vision Quest, where Vision gets a white body. He is the same person, just without any kind of emotion. He is just a machine. That storyline is actually kind of boring, and then eventually he does get his other body back. But I think that Paul Bettany has been trolling people by saying there's this actor that he's been wanting to work with his entire life, somebody that's an amazing actor. I think he's talking about himself, and I'm super excited to see that. I think that there's I think there's going to be a cool scene where White Vision pushes out Scarlet Vision through the hex, mostly because we saw when Scarlet Vision gets out of the hex, he starts getting ripped apart. I think that there's going to be I'm hoping that because we know that Young Avengers is coming, we know that Wanda's children are going to make it out of this okay. They have been setting up Young Avengers for a while. We do have, the Hawkeye version coming on with Kate Bishop. You have Ant-Man's daughter that just got cast. So they are working up towards a Young Avengers, which means that Wanda's children have to continue on past this. I do think that Vision is going to die because if you are a mega fan of the MCU the way that I am, WandaVision is 3 months after Endgame, whereas the Spider-Man Part 2 is actually months after Endgame, and there is a memorial for Vision in the Spider-Man 2 movie, which makes me think that he doesn't make it out of this alive. So I think there's going to be a bit of a Wanda's going to have to suffer a little bit more, and then I think that she's going to get a mentor, which is Agatha, and then they are going to become the pseudo bad guys of the Doctor Strange movie, which is going to lead into the Spider-Man movie, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that this is going to be a pretty big deal. We already have a couple origins in WandaVision. You know, you have Monica Rambeau turning into Photon. You have the first bit of mutants, because the definition of mutants is being born with a power, and the two children are the first things that we've seen in the MCU. They were born with power. So mutants are there, origin stories are there. You got a whole bunch of things going on. There's crossovers. The depiction of mental illness and trauma throughout this whole season is so beautifully done. Watching how some women deal with being manipulated by men, especially when they are powerful, and still being manipulated by other men just because they feel the need for more power, is beautiful. And I'm glad that this kind of representation is showing up in more things. I like that this is the first show that is forcing people to wait a full week to watch the next episode. There's so many Easter eggs and so many cool twists and turns that you have to just sit there and just really ponder it, which is cool because you have to get into your mental state to process a show about the mental state of a woman. And I think that it's beautifully done, and it's probably one of the best things in the MCU since Infinity War, and then before that, Iron Man 1. I don't know. It's a phenomenal show. But yeah, Vision versus Vision, and then WandaVision is going to have Wanda and Agatha are going to have an awesome magic fight. I'm super excited about that. And yeah, then I think the kids are going to come help out, and it'll end kind of happy, but with a new dimension where Wanda stays.
Awesome.
All right.
I love the show. I watch it with my wife. We wake up in the morning on Friday, we watch it, and then we watch it again later because it's so deep.
Yeah, it comes out. I live in Colorado. It shows up here at 2 a.m. So I wake up at 2 a.m. I watch the show. I go to sleep, and then I wake up with my wife, and then we watch the show. We kind of talk about it. I let it mingle for a little bit. Then I watch some garbage iCarly, and then I watch, and then I go back to WandaVision later on, and read some comics and really just dive into it. The show is phenomenal. It's the best thing I've seen since The Watchmen. As far as just a TV show goes, it is a phenomenal show, and I don't think you need to be a full fan of comics or the MCU to like this show, but it is beautifully done.
Okay, do we have time for me to ask a question about this?
Yeah, we got a few minutes. We got 5 minutes.
Okay. I don't get the whole thing, and I watched this on Jeff's recommendation. And I guess I do like it. I mean, I look forward to the episodes, but I'm not a huge MCU guy. I mean, I've seen all the movies, but I guess I'm just not that invested in it. I don't understand how. Well, what does it mean? It was Agatha all along. Who I thought. Yeah, I mean, she's just now been named the Scarlet Witch, right? But Wanda, didn't she create the Hex?
Yeah, so there's a couple things about.
So what does
this.
it mean? It was Agatha all along. In what way was she behind all this?
So okay, there's a couple things that are perplexing me with that last episode, and it was one when Scarlet, when Wanda got into the car and saw that she had that plot that maybe Vision had bought her. It seems odd that. They bought that before he's died. I don't know if that's going on. I think Agatha forced Wanda to go to this place knowing that there could be an explosion of power, knowing that this could happen. I think that the last commercial that we saw was the Nexus thing. And what the Nexus is in the MCU, it's Nexus creatures, Nexus characters are the same across all universes, and there's not many of them, but Wanda is one of them. But also, the Nexus is a gateway between all realities. So I think that, I'm excited to see this too. But I think that Wanda's powers somehow let Agatha know that there is a more powerful being out there than her. If you watched how Agatha's mom, when that battle was going on, Agatha's mom had that crown when she was using her power. When Agatha got the power, that crown never showed up. Every time we've seen the Scarlet Witch, she also has a crown. I think that Agatha is power hungry. I think that she's trying to find a way to become a more powerful being. I think she's also looking to bring back her husband, Ralph, knowing that the Scarlet Witch has the power to bring back her husband. She's been looking for this power, looking for the Scarlet Crown, and trying to bring back her husband. So I think that she is manipulating Wanda just as much as Hayward is or anybody else.
I think we're going to have to leave it on that. That was amazing. Zach, you're
there's a character named Vision. Is that a girl? Is that one of the Kardashian kids? what is Vision? Is that one of the Kardashian kids? Is that North and Vision? And
say goodnight, Sal.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Say goodnight, Zach.
Good night, everybody.
Say goodnight, Mike.
I think Kathryn Hahn is one of the premier talents in acting today. Also, good night.
I do agree. Kathryn Hahn is going to be the breakout star of this.
She is amazing.
I'm going from like college, my bad moms and all that to this. It's
See
incredible.
her in The Visit, Shyamalan's comeback movie.
Awesome.
I
do want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. It's great that now Bob understands it was Bob all day long. Glad he finally understands that reference. And oh man, so it's great to be here. If you can't get enough of me or Bob and Sal, check us out on our podcast, live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Everywhere podcasts are found. Check out my latest with Jackie Martling. Sal and Bob have the Sal and Bob Show also on all the podcasts as well. You can find them. They eat steak. They kind of make chewing noises, but it's still completely listenable. And all right, everyone. Thank you all for coming and commenting and playing along and joining us. And we'll see you next week on Crossing the Streams. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Crossing the Streams, brought to you by SceneSnobs.com and part of the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Your hosts, of course, Jeff Dwoskin, Sal D'Amelio, Bob Phillips, Ron Lippett, and Howard Rosner. Follow us all on the socials, and we'll see you next week and every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars. We're going live and crossing more streams.